What happens when the most controlled, disciplined man in Hollywood, the symbol of strength, smiles, and motivational mantras, steps into a studio where words are sharper than punches and questions are designed to corner, not comfort? What happens when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a man who has faced roaring stadiums and global pressure, finds himself sitting under studio lights across from Joy Behar, where applause can turn to silence in a heartbeat and a single sentence can ignite a fire no muscle can restrain? Before the story pulls you any deeper, make sure you subscribe to The Truth Narrator right now, hit like if you're ready for unfiltered drama, and drop a comment because this moment, this collision, demands to be talked about. The applause begins the way it always does on The View. Polite, warm, rehearsed. The band cue fades, cameras glide into position, and Dwayne Johnson steps out with that familiar grin. The one that sold movies, inspired millions, and reassured the world that no matter how hard things get, he's always in control. His shoulders are broad, his posture relaxed, but beneath the tailored suit there's a tightness, a quiet awareness that this isn't a movie set. There's no script here. No second takes. Joy Behar leans back in her chair, eyes already studying him, not with admiration, but with curiosity sharpened by intent. She's done this for decades. She knows how to wait, how to smile just long enough to make someone forget they're being measured. Dwayne sits, nodding to the hosts, exchanging pleasantries. Whoopi chuckles. The audience laughs. For a moment, it feels safe, almost friendly. The Rock talks about his latest project, about discipline, about gratitude. His voice is steady, practiced, soothing. He talks about his journey, from wrestling rings to box office numbers, from being counted out to becoming unstoppable. The crowd eats it up. This is the version they know, the version they trust. Joy lets him finish. Then she tilts her head slightly and smiles. "You've always talked about accountability," she says lightly, tapping her notes. "About responsibility when you have influence." Dwayne nods. "Absolutely. I believe in that." The smile doesn't leave her face, but her tone shifts just enough for the air to change. "So let's talk about influence." The audience murmurs. Dwayne's eyes narrow just a fraction, not defensive, not yet, but alert. He's been interviewed thousands of times. He knows the turn when it comes. Joy continues. "You've spoken publicly about leadership, about unity, about using your platform for good. But some people feel that when it really mattered, you chose silence. Or worse, you chose sides." There it is. The first strike. Dwayne chuckles softly, the way he does when he wants to diffuse tension. "I wouldn't say that's fair," he replies calmly. "I've always tried to bring people together." Joy leans forward now. "Have you? Because critics say you speak about unity when it's convenient, but avoid the harder conversations when it might cost you something." The applause is scattered, uncertain. A few claps. A few gasps. The camera cuts briefly to Dwayne's face, and for the first time, the smile doesn't fully return. Inside, something tightens. He feels it in his chest. Not anger yet, but pressure. The kind that builds when someone questions your integrity, not your success. He straightens in his chair. "With respect," he says, his voice firmer now. "I've spent my entire life earning everything I have. I don't run from tough conversations." Joy raises an eyebrow. "Then let's have one." The studio feels smaller suddenly. The lights hotter. The audience quieter. Joy references past statements, moments where Dwayne spoke vaguely, carefully. She quotes critics. She frames questions not as accusations, but as reflections of public disappointment. "People look up to you," she says. "They want clarity, not branding." That word lands heavy. Branding. Dwayne exhales slowly. "I'm a human being," he responds. "Not a slogan. I try to lead with respect." "But respect for who?" Joy asks quickly. "And at what cost?" The crowd reacts, an audible "oh" ripples through the room. Dwayne shifts in his seat. His jaw tightens. He glances briefly toward Whoopi, then back to Joy. "I don't think it's fair to simplify complex issues into sound bites," he says. Joy doesn't blink. "This is television. Sound bites are kind of our thing." A few laughs. Nervous ones. Dwayne's voice drops slightly. "And that's exactly the problem. Silence. Real silence. The kind that makes producers hold their breath and audience members lean forward without realizing it." Joy sits back, lips pressed together now. "So you're saying the public just doesn't get it?" "I'm saying," Dwayne replies, his control beginning to fray, "that it's easy to criticize from a chair when you don't carry the weight of millions of expectations on your back." The temperature spikes. Applause bursts from one side of the audience. Another side remains quiet. The divide is visible, almost physical. Joy's eyes harden. I carry expectations too, she says. I carry the expectation to ask what others won't. Dwayne nods once slowly. Then ask it straight. The camera zooms in. Joy glances at her notes, then looks up. Do you actually stand for something, she asks. Or do you just stand where it's safest? That's when it happens. Not an explosion, yet, but a crack. The Rock's legendary composure wavers. His shoulders rise with a sharp breath. His hands clench together, knuckles whitening just slightly. For years, he says, voice louder now, edged with something raw. I've stood in arenas where people booed me, hated me, doubted me. I didn't hide. I didn't run. So don't sit there and tell me I play it safe. The audience erupts, applause, gasps, whispers colliding at once. The hosts exchange glances. Producers gesture off camera. Joy opens her mouth to respond, but the moment has shifted. Dwayne leans forward, eyes locked on hers, the controlled giant now visibly wrestling with something deeper than a question. And this is only the beginning. The room doesn't settle after his words. It vibrates. Applause crashes against pockets of stunned quiet, and the cameras linger just a second longer than usual on Dwayne Johnson's face. His jaw is set now, eyes intense, no trace of the easygoing superstar who walked out minutes earlier. This is a man who feels challenged, not professionally but personally. Joy Behar inhales, then exhales through her nose, a practiced pause. No one is questioning your work ethic, she says, carefully choosing each word. But when you have power, silence becomes a statement whether you like it or not. Dwayne leans back slightly, crossing his arms. It's subtle but defensive. And when you have a microphone, he replies, provocation becomes a strategy. The audience reacts instantly. A wave of gasps, then scattered claps. Someone whistles. Whoopi raises her hand slightly, as if to slow the pace, but Joy doesn't look away from Dwayne. Are you saying I'm provoking you? Joy asks. I'm saying, Dwayne answers, voice low and controlled but strained, that you're framing me as something I'm not. Joy's smile returns, thinner now. That's what interviews are, Dwayne. Frames. You just don't like this one. Inside Dwayne's mind, memories collide. Years of biting his tongue, smiling through criticism, choosing diplomacy over honesty. He's always believed restraint was strength. But sitting here, under these lights, being dissected into a narrative he doesn't recognize, restraint feels like surrender. He uncrosses his arms abruptly. You want honesty? He says. Fine. Here it is. People don't want leaders. They want symbols. And the moment you stop fitting their symbol, they tear you down. Joy tilts her head. Or maybe they want courage. That word hits harder than any accusation so far. Courage. Dwayne repeats, a sharp laugh escaping him. You think I don't have courage? Joy doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. I think courage is speaking when it costs you something. The audience goes dead quiet. Even the background hum of the studio seems to fade. Dwayne stares at the table for a brief second, then looks up, eyes burning. You have no idea what it's cost me, he says louder now. No idea what I've lost trying to keep people together. Whoopi finally steps in. Okay, let's breathe for a second. But the moment has momentum now, and it's not slowing down. Joy gestures gently toward Dwayne. Then tell us. Because from the outside, it looks like you pick your moments very carefully. Dwayne shakes his head, frustration bleeding into his voice. Because every word I say gets twisted. Because no matter what I do, someone's waiting to tell me I didn't do enough. The audience murmurs in agreement. A few loud claps break out. Dwayne feeds off it, standing his ground. I come from nothing, he continues. I've fought my way here. And I don't owe anyone a performance of outrage just to prove I care. Joy's eyes flash. So outrage is beneath you? That's not what I said. But it's what people hear. Dwayne's hand slaps lightly against the table. Not hard enough to be aggressive, but loud enough to echo. The crowd gasps again. No, he says sharply. What people hear is what they want to hear. Producers exchange looks off camera. The director signals for a commercial soon, but the hosts keep going. This is live electricity, the kind you don't cut unless you have to. Joy leans back, folding her arms now. For someone who talks about strength, you seem awfully defensive. That does it. Dwayne's control snaps, not into shouting, but into something more dangerous, raw honesty. I'm defensive because I'm tired, he says. Tired of being reduced to headlines. Tired of being told my silence is betrayal and my words are never enough. His voice cracks just slightly on that last word. It's almost imperceptible, but the audience feels it. A hush falls over the studio. For a split second, Joy looks caught off guard. Not because he raised his voice, but because he didn't. Because vulnerability isn't what she expected. Tired, Joy repeats softly. A lot of people are tired, Dwayne. I know, he says. That's why I try to bring hope instead of division. And some would argue, Joy replies, that hope without action is just comfort. The tension coils tighter. Dwayne leans forward again, eyes locked onto Joy's. And some would argue, he says, that constant accusation does more harm than silence ever could. The audience splits audibly now, applause clashing with murmurs of disagreement. Whoopi rubs her temple. Sunny glances down at her notes, clearly unsure whether to jump in. Joy straightens in her chair. So what do you want, Dwayne? Praise? Gratitude? I want fairness, he says immediately. I want people to understand that leadership doesn't always look loud. Joy nods slowly. And I want people to understand that being careful isn't the same as being brave. The words hang between them like smoke. Dwayne exhales hard through his nose. You think I'm not brave? He asks again, quieter this time, but more intense. I've stood in front of the world and owned my failures. I've admitted when I was wrong. Then do it now, Joy says, almost gently. If you think you could have spoken sooner, louder, clearer, say that. For a moment, Dwayne doesn't respond. The cameras zoom in. The audience waits. This isn't entertainment anymore. It's a crossroads. His hands clasp together tightly. His voice, when it comes, is low and heavy. I'll say this, he begins. I could have said things differently. I could have been clearer. A ripple moves through the crowd. But I will not apologize, he continues, for trying to keep people from tearing each other apart. Joy opens her mouth to reply, but before she can, the producer's voice crackles faintly in the host's earpieces. Commercial break. Now, Whoopi jumps in fast. All right, we're going to take a quick break. This is getting heated. The music swells, applause erupts, and the cameras pull back as the screen fades. But behind the applause, behind the music, the tension doesn't disappear. Dwayne sits back, breathing hard, staring straight ahead. Joy sips her water slowly, eyes distant, already calculating her next move. Because when they come back, there will be no turning back. The cameras cut to commercial, but the moment doesn't cool. It thickens. The applause fades into awkward chatter as the audience shifts in their seats, whispering, replaying every word in their heads. On stage, the smiles are gone. This isn't television anymore. It's a battlefield wrapped in bright lights. Dwayne Johnson leans back in his chair, chest rising and falling heavier than he wants anyone to notice. His jaw flexes as he stares at the studio floor. Years of discipline are fighting a surge of emotion that refuses to be boxed in. He's faced hostile crowds before, but this feels different. This feels personal. Joy Behar adjusts her glasses, eyes fixed on her cue cards, though she isn't reading them. She's replaying his words, weighing them, sharpening what comes next. She doesn't see anger in him. She sees deflection. And she's not done peeling it back. Whoopi leans slightly toward Dwayne, lowering her voice. You good? She asks quietly. He nods once. I'm fine. But the tension in his shoulders says otherwise. The countdown begins. Fingers rise. 3, 2, 1. The music fades. The red light flashes. They're back. Whoopi forces a light tone. All right, we're back with Dwayne Johnson. This conversation has clearly struck a nerve. Joy doesn't wait for an invitation. You said you won't apologize, she begins immediately. And that's your right. But do you understand why some people hear that as arrogance? The audience collectively inhales. Dwayne looks up slowly. His expression has changed, not explosive, but hardened. I understand why people project that onto me, he says. But that doesn't make it true. Joy nods. Sometimes perception matters more than intent. Dwayne leans forward again, hands spread open on the table. Then let me be clear. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I think I'm responsible, to my family, my team, and yes, my fans, to speak with care. Joy counters instantly. Care for whom? For everyone, he replies. Joy shakes her head. That's the problem. You can't stand for everyone. A ripple of applause rolls through the audience. Dwayne's eyes flash. And you think standing for one side automatically makes things better? It makes things honest, Joy fires back. The tension snaps tighter. Sunny finally jumps in, her voice calm but pointed. Dwayne, can I ask something? She says. When people who look like you, who grew up like you, say they felt abandoned by your silence, Does that matter to you? That one lands deep. Dwayne's throat tightens. He doesn't answer immediately. The silence stretches long enough to feel uncomfortable. Yes, he says finally. It matters. It hurts. The audience softens just slightly. But, he continues, voice growing stronger, it also hurts to know that no matter what I say, someone will claim I chose wrong. Joy leans forward again. That's leadership. No, Dwayne snaps back. That's projection. A few audience members clap loudly. Others shake their heads. Joy's voice sharpens. You don't get to redefine leadership just because you don't like the consequences. Dwayne's restraint fractures. His voice rises, not into a shout, but into something fierce. And you don't get to sit there and decide I failed just because I didn't perform the way you wanted. The crowd erupts. Applause, boos, gasps all at once. Whoopi raises both hands. Hey, let's keep it respectful. Joy's face tightens. I'm not asking you to perform, she says. I'm asking you to be accountable. Dwayne laughs bitterly. Accountable to who? You. Twitter? A headline. The word Twitter draws laughter from part of the audience. Joy doesn't laugh. Accountable to the people who believed in you. Dwayne pushes his chair back slightly, the scrape audible through the microphones. He catches himself, grounding his feet, but the movement sends a message. He's close to standing up. I never asked to be a symbol, he says. I never asked to carry everyone's expectations. Joy responds instantly. But you accepted the power. The studio falls silent again. Dwayne's eyes lock onto hers. His voice drops low, dangerous in its calm. Power isn't control. Power is responsibility. And responsibility means not inflaming situations just to satisfy outrage. Joy folds her arms. So you think people asking you to speak are just outraged? I think some are hurting, Dwayne says. And some just want blood. The audience gasps at the bluntness. Joy leans back, lips pressed together. That's a convenient way to dismiss criticism. Dwayne slams his palm flat on the table. Hard this time. The sound cracks through the studio. I am not dismissing pain, he says, finally raising his voice. I'm saying I refuse to add to chaos just to prove I care. The room explodes. The loudest reaction yet. People stand. Producers scramble. Whoopi turns fully toward him. Dwayne, she warns. He stops. Breath ragged. Eyes wide. For a split second, the world sees what almost never slips through, the raw, unfiltered rock. He exhales slowly, dragging a hand over his face. I'm passionate, he says, quieter now. Because this matters. Joy watches him closely. When she speaks, her voice is lower too. Then understand this, she says. When you stay silent, people fill that silence with their own conclusions. Dwayne nods once, reluctantly. And when you speak, he replies, people twist your words into weapons. The two stare at each other, neither blinking. Whoopi steps in, firm now. All right, we need to reset. The audience settles, but the air is still electric. Joy turns to the camera briefly. This is why these conversations are important, she says. They're uncomfortable. Dwayne looks out at the audience, then back at Joy. And they shouldn't be ambushes, he says. That word, ambush, hangs heavy. Joy bristles. No one ambushed you. Dwayne doesn't back down. It feels like one when your character is on trial. A beat. Then Joy says quietly, sometimes it should be. The silence that follows is deafening. Dwayne leans back slowly, shaking his head, a mix of disbelief and resolve on his face. The audience senses it. Something has shifted. This isn't about one interview anymore. It's about image, power, and control. And the end of this story is about to echo far beyond this studio. The final minutes unfold like slow motion. The kind where every breath feels amplified, every blink captured by a camera that refuses to look away. The audience knows it too. This is no longer just a heated exchange. This is a moment that will be clipped, replayed, debated, and weaponized before the hour is over. Whoopi clears her throat, her voice steadier than the room deserves. We're almost out of time, she says, glancing between Joy and Dwayne. I want to give you both a chance to close this. Joy doesn't hesitate. She turns fully toward Dwayne, her tone calmer, but no less sharp. You're right about one thing, she says. This is bigger than an interview. People don't just watch you, they project onto you. And when you choose caution, they feel abandoned. You may not owe them outrage, but you do owe them clarity. The audience murmurs. Some nod. Some fold their arms. Dwayne sits very still. When he speaks, his voice is quieter than it's been all day, but every word lands heavier. Clarity, he repeats. All right, here's mine. He looks out into the audience, then straight into the main camera. I believe in unity over noise. I believe in building rather than burning. And I believe that shouting doesn't equal leadership. Applause breaks out, strong, supportive, but not unanimous. He turns back to Joy. You want me to admit something? Fine. I underestimated how much people needed to hear my voice. Not because I was afraid, but because I thought my actions spoke louder. Joy holds his gaze. And do you see now that sometimes they don't? Dwayne nods once. I do. A collective exhale ripples through the studio. It's the closest thing to resolution they're going to get. Whoopi jumps in quickly, sensing the moment. All right. Thank you both, she says. This was something. The band music starts softly. Applause swells. Cameras pull back. But the real explosion happens after. As soon as the show cuts to credits, the audience erupts into conversation. Phones come out instantly. Clips are already being uploaded, captions already written. Half the room buzzes with admiration. He stood his ground. The other half simmers with disappointment. He dodged again. Backstage, Dwayne stands alone for a moment, hands on his hips, staring at the wall. His publicist approaches cautiously. You okay? She asks. He nods, though his eyes say otherwise. Yeah, he says. But this isn't over. He's right. Within minutes, social media detonates. Dwayne Johnson loses control on The View. Joy Behar calls out The Rock live. The Rock unmasked? Hashtags trend globally. Some praise his restraint under pressure. Others accuse him of ego, of deflection, of hiding behind platitudes. Body language experts weigh in. Commentators slow down the table slam frame by frame. Memes appear within the hour. Joy Behar posts nothing. She doesn't need to. The clip speaks for itself. Entertainment outlets run split headlines. Political commentators hijack the moment. Fans argue in threads thousands of comments long. Former allies release thoughtful statements. Critics resurface old interviews. Supporters flood Dwayne's page with messages of loyalty. And Dwayne? He posts one line that night. Just one. Growth isn't loud, but it's necessary. No explanation. No apology. No clarification. The internet explodes again. Some call it powerful. Others call it cowardly. But everyone is talking. Days later, analysts still dissect the exchange. Was it a loss of control, or the first time the world saw the pressure crack? Did Joy push too far? Or did she finally ask what no one else dared to ask? Was this accountability or ambush? There is no consensus. And that's the point. Because moments like this don't end when the cameras turn off. They linger. They force people to choose sides, to question heroes, to confront the uncomfortable truth that strength doesn't always look the way we want it to. In one studio, under unforgiving lights, a man known for control showed frustration. A host known for sharp questions showed resolve. And an audience saw something rare, raw, imperfect humanity. Now the question isn't what happened on The View. The question is, whose side are you on? Was Dwayne Johnson unfairly cornered, or finally challenged? Did Joy Behar cross a line, or expose one? Drop your opinion in the comments right now. I want to hear what you think. And if you want more moments like this, more explosive confrontations, deeper tension, and stories that pull you inside the room, make sure you subscribe to The Truth Narrator. Because the truth doesn't whisper. It confronts.